Colorado might have the deepest wide receiver room in the Big 12, but that might actually be a problem. Not everybody's getting fed. And if you're expecting 5 or 6 wide receivers to put up big numbers this year, the math says otherwise. It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without some dope content to react to. What's up, Buff Nation? Welcome back to another Common Sense Buffs breakdown. We're revisiting the wide receiver room, the hottest topic on these YouTube streets, especially after we did that live session comparing the 2024 wide receiver room to 2026. One thing is clear, though, this 2026 room is loaded. But how are we going to figure out who's actually going to get the ball? Well, first off, we need some definitions. But while we do that, let's go ahead and throw up this graphic, because this is what Juju has to really think about when he's out there on the field. He has a plethora, as Prime would say, of weapons. But let's talk about the comparison between targets and touches. Targets are pass attempts thrown your way, and touches are a little bit broader. It could be a reception, jet sweep, screen, motion, design plays to get players the ball in space. This distinction matters because Coach Prime has always been willing to rotate wide receivers for targets. However, Brennan Marion has talked openly about season where he had 9 players with 50 plus touches. That does not mean players with 50 targets. It means this offense spreads opportunity creatively, and production doesn't always look traditional on a stat sheet. Let's talk about offensive context, however, because that's always important. Context matters. This is Brennan Marion's first year as offensive coordinator at Colorado, but we've seen a comparable setup before when he was the OC at UNLV in 2023. He had a true freshman quarterback in Jayden Maiava, and in that year, Jayden, I think another quarterback got some play time too, but they totaled 404 pass attempts, 251 completions, and a 62% completion percentage. Now compare that to what he has here in Colorado. He has a redshirt freshman quarterback who's learning a new system, and the system has a heavy run emphasis, and in the pass game, it's all about spacing, tempo, and manufactured touches. So realistically, here's my prediction. I'm going to go out on a limb. I know it's really, really early, but hey, what are you here for? You're here for real analysis. Looking at the reality here, I'm going to predict that 2 of these wide receivers on my screen are going to be clearly targeted, meaning passes thrown their way 50 times or more. Everybody else who does not fall into that category is going to be living in the touch economy. Their production is going to be situational and not guaranteed. But there are a few guys who have to reach some developmental benchmarks for them to continue to be Colorado Buffaloes in 2027. And for them to have the kind of impact we know they can to help this team win in 2026. None other. First up is Joseph Williams, a guy that many people have pegged as their wide receiver 1. In order to take that next step forward, he needs at least 40 catches this season. Quentin Gibson and Quannell Farrakhan, they need at least 25 catches this season in order to really give them an opportunity to produce for this team and live up to the very, very high expectations they had coming out of high school. And again, this is a retention play here, guys. There's going to be a lot of teams watching like they always are watching Colorado. If Quentin and Quannell are not getting the touches and targets that would justify them being in a system where they can see themselves eventually being the number 1 or number 2 wide receiver, it's going to be pretty hard to keep them in the offseason. And I want to really talk about Hykeem Williams. This is a guy that really doesn't get a lot of airtime. The former 5-star wide receiver has all the physical traits that you want in a number 1 wide receiver, was at Florida State, transferred to Colorado, had some early production in 2025, but got hurt. He needs at least 25 catches in 2026 to continue his path to redemption. Now, for these 4 development pieces, this isn't just about giving guys stats just to give them stats or to appease them. This is really going to represent development for these guys and what's necessary in order to help this team win. Now, let's talk about the other guys on this graphic. two guys that I'm very excited about and that you guys are excited about as well. And I know Brennan Marion is up late at night cooking up for Cam Perry, the guy who I say has the best hands on the team, and Danny Scudero, the national leader in receiving yards in 2025 out of San Jose State. That is my guy, Danny Scudero. Those guys are going to create havoc in the slot, not only because they're quick, are great route runners, but they create space and can catch the ball and turn something out of nothing. They're going to excel in the quick game and in option routes and are extremely reliable on third down. Now, the next group of guys who have to carve out a real niche for themselves because of their physical stature are going to be my red zone targets. That's Joseph Williams, DeAndre Moore, and Hykeem Williams. Their size, strength, and contested catch ability are going to be especially necessary when the ball is within the 20-yard line. And then the X factor for me, the guy who comes over from Sac State with Brennan Marion, the fastest man on the team. He already knows the offense, and he is already produced in this offense. He is the prototype for touches over targets. I see him on jet sweeps, vertical shots, and being used in motion to really stress out the defense. And this is his opportunity to prove that he belongs in the Power Four. So this is not about one group of wide receivers starting throughout the season. I have an early season rotation and then players who are going to be worked in throughout the year and as opportunities present themselves. Early season, I'm going trust and stability. My starting three wide receivers early in the year, Danny Scudero, DeAndre Moore, and Joseph Williams. As the season wears on, and I think you see these guys, especially when Colorado gets off to a lead in games, you're going to get a healthy dose of Cam Perry, Earnest Campbell, and Quentin Gibson as the first three rotational pieces, followed by Quannell Farrakhan, Hykeem Williams, and please don't sleep on Kaleb Mathis and the highly talented freshman out of IMG, Christian Ward. This would represent the classic Coach Prime philosophy. Establish rhythm early, rotate late, and let depth win you games. Now, here's the wild card for conversation, guys. Does Colorado have too many weapons? Well, here's the uncomfortable truth. This room might just be too deep. Somebody is going to see a cut to their reps. Somebody is going to see targets disappear. Somebody's fans who are expecting them to break out probably won't. That doesn't mean failure. It means tough choices and real competition. At the end of the day, your guess is as good as mine. That's why we're talking about this on live this Saturday. So join us at noon. Bring your depth charts, bring your hot takes, and let's talk about it together. Run up the score by hitting that like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the live. Till next time, peace.